Why, hello there, and welcome back to another video. Today, we want to chat with you all about an upcoming game that's been on our radar for quite a while now, and as of editing this video is officially 9 days away from being released worldwide. And that game is Wuthering Waves. This game is created by Kuro Games, the very same genius minds that made one of our personal top 5 favorite gacha games out there. And that is Punishing Grey Raven. Wuthering Waves takes the Genshin formula and spins it on its head by infusing it with a strong dystopian vibe, and the rather stellar and action-packed combat of Punishing Grey Raven. Wuthering Waves follows certain similar aspects to the Genshin Impact experience, but only, good. It does much more than try to copy Genshin. The team behind Wuthering Waves really set out to diversify and revolutionize the experience in a myriad of different ways, which provide an overall better user experience for their players, all while adding their own unique twists to the concept, offering players a variety of quality of life features. And not so recently, many in-game revisions, which is almost unheard of in gaming these days. These revisions not only span to the story, which has been largely rewritten, but also spans to many of the various character designs which have been severely reworked since their initial debut. These include, but are not limited to, Qixia by Yinlin, Mortefi, and last, but certainly not least, one of the two of our most anticipated characters to pull for Yinlin. Now, we don't know about you lovely people, but this not-so-simple act of the devs putting their hands up and admitting that these things didn't work due to the feedback of the community personally instills a lot of faith in them to continue this kind of approach, not only when the game releases but in perpetuity throughout its lifespan. But the story revisions and character design updates are not the only things the devs have changed with Wuthering Waves. You see, as of their second beta test, the developers for Wuthering Waves have implemented various changes and optimizations to the game to really polish their product. These optimizations not only span into the already outstanding combat system, making it even more snappy and fluid, but also into the open world itself. The surroundings and scenery have been graphically overhauled since beta test 1 to only add more vibrancy into certain areas, but also leans further into the corrupted and dystopian vibes in other regions of the open world, which from our personal opinions has ultimately led to some rather amazing and breathtaking scenes. Now, with that being said, we can only hope that Wuthering Waves doesn't suffer from the same major flaw that a vast majority of open worlds in the modern gaming experience suffers from, and that is having an expansive world filled with nothing. Nothing to interact with and very little to find. And yes, we're looking at you, Genshin, when we reference this. And just to clarify, when we say this, the last thing we want is every section of every space filled with just the most random enemy spawns to the point that the world is bursting at the seams, but rather healthy grouping of appropriately placed enemy monsters. Let's say a group of 5 to 6 placed in their respective regions that progressively become more and more mutated the deeper and further the player ventures into highly corrupted zones of the map. But not only did the developers change various characters and the open world itself, but they also made some rather player-friendly changes to their main moneymaker, and that is the gacha system. You see, not only does Wuthering Waves have a beginner banner much like Honkai Star Rail, which is absolutely huge in itself, but when players summon on this banner, which is priced at a discounted rate compared to the normal standard banner in-game, within 50 pulls of this banner, players will receive one of 5 random 5-star characters from the standard banner, and these include the Glacio DPS Ling Yang. This character uses gauntlets as their weapon of choice, and believe us, from what we have seen from various showcases, this character knows exactly how to use them, as he can devastate enemies with a flurry of punches and kicks both in ground-based and airborne combat, decimating his enemies as well as driving away evil spirits with his lion dancing technique. Next up, we have the Fusion DPS Encore. This little girl may look cute and adorable, but don't be fooled, she is a rather potent force on the battlefield, using both puppets and lasers as well as literally sending herself into a frenzy. Encore proves to be quite the destructive force in the right hands. Huh. You know, for some reason, we feel like we've seen Encore somewhere else before, but it's probably just our imagination, right?
Are you here for playtime with Klee? Okay, so you'll be in charge of the storm watch. Which means you won, Klee, the second you see Jiyan coming. Let's go!
Following Encore, we have probably the coolest out of the standard 5-star cast, and that is the Electro main DPS and Mr. Omnislash himself, Calchero. This rather badass man uses a broadsword as their weapon of choice, really solidifying their resemblance to a certain man of the same style whose name seems to escape us at the current moment. Now Calchero attacks with Gree. Wait, what's that noise?
Good to see you, Cloud.
Next up for the standard 5 stars, we have Wuthering Waves version of Furina from Genshin. And that is, well, Verina. You see, Verina is a Spectro support who uses a rectifier as their main weapon. No, not that one. No, not that one either. There we go, that's the one. You see, Verina can not only heal up your team with her ultimate, but also heals a percentage of your team's health every time she tags in or out of battle, and if that wasn't enough, when Verina tags out of a fight, she will also grant your team a rather juicy 15% damage boost for 30 seconds with seemingly no cooldown in between. Meaning if you can chain tag out of a fight with Verina, you could have a almost 100% uptime of her buff. And now for the final character among the standard 5 stars, and the one we hope to pull during our summons. And that is Jiyan. Now, Jiyan uses gauntlets much like Ling Yang. However, unlike Ling Yang, Jiyan offers a higher skill-based experience due to her kit, which relies on the player's ability to parry and dodge correctly in order to get the most out of her kit, which means she may not be friendly for newer players. Well, unless you're a parry god in every game you play, that is. And if the fact that Wuthering Waves has a beginner banner didn't get you excited enough, the developers have also confirmed that the beginner banner will allow players to select the standard 5-star character of their choice, and within 80 summons are then guaranteed to receive the chosen character. But that's not even close to all the changes. You see, the developers also went above and beyond and changed both the limited and standard weapon banners, and totally abolished the 50-50 chance to not get your chosen weapon, which means if you summon on a limited weapon and reach 80 pulls, you get that weapon guaranteed, which is absolutely amazing. And personally, we feel like it gives people who have been saving for a particular character a really fair chance at seeing their favorite characters at their maximum potential. And honestly, we love and adore this change. You see, while we play a fair amount of gacha games, the one constant that always irritates us to no end about gacha games is the 50-50. Nothing feels like a bigger middle finger to us as a player than grinding our ass off for a character only to lose the 50-50. So to see Kuro Games removing the 50-50 from their weapon banners is absolutely huge, and honestly an approach we feel that more gacha companies should be taking further down the road. Now, we will be getting into the main reason why Wuthering Waves has garnered our attention for so many months now, and that is the ecosystem. The system not only constitutes a no stamina required grind for players, but also doubles as Wuthering Waves' artifact system or relics if you play HSR. You see, the enemies out in the open world are not just there for materials. Absolutely not. You see, every enemy has a chance to drop a echo of themselves upon defeat, which not only grants a unique monster skill to use in combat, depending on what slot it's equipped in, but also doubles as an relic, which can be used to power up your characters, because much like Genshin or HSR, the substats on these echoes are randomized, meaning players really have to grind for desired unicorns depending on the character they are building. Which, as a long-standing fan of the Borderlands series of games, grabs our attention and gets us excited for the potential of a near-endless grind. But what makes this system even more sweeter is the potential to get shiny versions of every single echo in the game. And as the game expands and newer characters, areas, and monsters are unlocked, this system becomes even more fleshed out, creating a near-endless but rather varied loop for players to engage in. And finally, if that wasn't enough, Wuthering Waves even has its very own version of the Pokédex from Pokémon. Yes, that's right, the more echoes you collect, the more rewards you gain. These rewards vary from premium currency, to further increasing your cost amount, allowing you to equip even stronger echoes to really boost up your units. This rather simple addition really incentivizes players to get out into the world and collect all the echoes, which we really adore. And now, we get into our final thoughts and the approach we will be taking when Wuthering Waves releases. Now, unfortunately, we cannot cover it on release as we have real-life matters we need to attend to. However, we will be covering Wuthering Waves alongside HSR for the foreseeable future, so you can all look forward to some summon videos and maybe some kind of challenge series once we can figure out what we want to do. And in regards to whether our account will have money spent on it, boy, we really wish we could say no, but as we mentioned earlier in the video, we have two characters who to us are must-pulls just due to their gameplay and aesthetic, and those are the Dragon King Jiyan. Which way we don't usually like male designs in games, Jiyan absolutely nails it for us both with his design and overall amazing combat animations. And the other being the red-headed puppeteer Yinlin, who much like Jiyan, threatens to drain all our wishes and resources dry. Now, an important thing to note is, even though we will be spending some money on this game, we are not going overboard. We will probably buy the daily pass, and maybe the battle pass if we feel like it. However, a very important thing to note if you are looking to play this game or a game similar to it is please do not spend money if you cannot afford to. Characters and weapons will have reruns unless stated otherwise, so please do not leave yourself in financial ruin to buy a video game character because it isn't worth it. But that's enough of us talking your ears off today. To say we are excited for Wuthering Waves is a severe understatement, and who knows might inspire Genshin to finally buckle down. But if we're being honest, as we're working on part 2 of Let's Talk About Genshin, we highly doubt it, but that's a topic for another day. We look forward to making videos regarding Wuthering Waves for you all, but until then, everybody take care, stay safe, and we'll see you next time.